Lee and Sam, two survivors from Oldham who are very bravely waiving their anonymity tonight to share their experiences publicly for the first time. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on GB News tonight to speak to us.
Thank you for having us on.
Well, Jamie Lee, I want to start with you first and foremost. What was your reaction to this announcement today? Do you have confidence that there's going to be some justice for survivors now?
I feel like all survivors all over the UK deserve an apology, for starters. That's just for starters. I feel like survivors deserve a say in a lot of things.
Yeah, putting survivors front and centre, Sam, that's a big part of this, isn't it? Because all too often there have been attempts to include survivors, but it's not really gone the way as expected, and rather it's become political rather than focusing on what victims need. And Sam, that's about justice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always been a fight in Oldham for survivors to come forward and feel safe that they can do so. Oldham Council tend to target a lot of girls with the prospects of removing the children. So it is a scary world for survivors in Oldham to come forward.
And it's a scary world for survivors across the country as well, Sam. We heard descriptions in January from the Prime Minister describing people calling for an inquiry as jumping on that far-right bandwagon. Do you think that that meant that lots of victims, you know, so brave like you two are going to be nervous about coming forward? Do you think that the sort of language, people being accused of being racist, is going to make survivors hesitate before they speak out?
I don't think it should be a problem. At the end of the day, what has happened to us has happened. These abusers are still abusers at the end of the day. All we can do is provide that support and try and reassure survivors that there's nothing to be scared of and that we all have a right to have our voice heard.
And Jamie Lee, what do you want this national inquiry to do now? What sort of investigation do you want to see? Should everyone who is involved in covering up this abuse be held accountable finally?
Yes, there should be. I feel like it needs to be a thorough investigation. Well, we've set up a group recently called Undefeated. We've had numerous survivors come forward to us and tell us that the council have approached them and told them if they spoke out, then they'd have the children took away from them. So how is the government now going to basically, you know, get around that issue?
Yeah, we have carried some reports of survivors who have had quite a lot of chaos in their lives and has led to their children being taken from them. But we'll have to reach out to Oldham Council on that specifically. But Sam, we are going to have statutory powers in Oldham now. I know that's something you've wanted for a long time. So previously, people have avoided the ability to be dragged in front of a commission or an inquiry, but now they can't avoid that they'll need to give evidence and be investigated.
Yeah, it is good news. Since January, I'd say many survivors up and down the country have met with Labour MPs, and they've all asked for the same thing, for this to become a statutory inquiry. And we've not been listened to for the whole 6 months. So it is great news.
Jamie Lee, just before we go, what would be the message you'd like to give to politicians as they assess what this inquiry should be? What sort of opportunities should this inquiry follow through on now?
I feel like all survivors across the country deserve an apology from Keir Starmer and all the politicians that have done meetings with survivors and not listened to them properly.
Yeah.
I also feel like, you know, sorry, I'll let you pick up.
No, carry on, Jamie Lee. Sorry, carry on.
I'm struggling. It's my first time on live TV and I'm struggling. And
Well, you're doing very well. We're very glad to hear from you.
But yeah, I do feel like Keir Starmer owes all survivors across the UK an apology. I also feel like the local inquiries is in 5 towns. I feel like it needs to be in all the towns that have these problems, because it's not fair to give 5 towns an inquiry, to a thorough, proper inquiry, and then not the rest. It needs to be looked in properly.
And Sam, that's such a key point, isn't it? We've found over 50 different towns and cities at GB News where this has been an issue. The government said just 5 in January, but we don't know how many local areas will be investigated under this national inquiry. This needs to go all over the country, doesn't it?
It does. Other countries that are suffering with grooming that is rife will not put themselves forward to be part of the 5 inquiries. So Starmer's idea of this plan was wrong, just like he was wrong with everything else.
Well, Sam and Jamie Lee, thank you so much for joining us live on GB News tonight. I think you're both extremely brave, and I hope that as this inquiry goes forward, you guys get the justice you both deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you.